class is over. Leave for 3 months.
Now that we're heading into June, both kids and parents are looking forward to no school, summer vacations, and summer camp. And with that in mind, what's up everybody, and welcome to Macabre'Gorium Labs presents a showcase of things likely forgotten Cartoon Network edition. I'm Bats, and today I hope you'll join me as we talk about one of our lab favorites, Camp Lazlo. All beans, no hot air. This is a topic I've wanted to cover for a while, and you'll see why shortly. Camp Lazlo is an animated series that premiered on Cartoon Network on July 8, 2005, and would continue until March 27, 2008. The series would introduce us to Camp Kidney, Acorn Flats, and the group of crazy anthropomorphic animals that go there for summer fun. This awesome show was created by the one, the only, Joe Murray, the creator of Rockos' Modern Life. As Joe Murray is one of my personal favorite creators and inspirations ever since I was a teenager, we'll definitely be covering him in a later video along with one of my favorites, Rockos' Modern Life, both in their own showcases. Since Rockos' Modern Life was a show more about adult issues, Joe wanted to create a more kid-friendly show. Similar to Salute Your Shorts, Joe Murray would also draw inspiration from Camp Candy's humor, in addition to his own camp experiences. Joe also wanted to make a show that didn't have all the technology and futuristic themes that a lot of shows had added, which is one of the many things that makes this show so freaking awesome. He would also bring a lot of the cast with him to Camp Lazlo, which is part of the reason it's regarded as the spiritual successor to Rockos' Modern Life. Only part. Originally, Three Beans was going to be a book by Joe Murray. After realizing that his characters needed more than a book for all of their adventures, he would instead opt for a series. Good call. Like the book idea, the original title for the show was supposed to be Three Beans, but in the end that didn't really seem right, so they would change it. The show itself, Camp Lazlo, is set at the legendary Camp Kidney, a Boy Scout-like summer camp in none other than Prickly Pines, Wisconsin. All of the characters are anthropomorphic animals of various species. The focus of this wacky show is the 3 Bean Scouts that live in Jelly Cabin and their eventful days at camp. This awesome show would run for 5 seasons with a total of 61 22-minute episodes, containing a total of 117 awesome segments. Like other most animated series of the time, there were 2 segments per episode. Now, this show would be produced by Cartoon Network Studios and Joe Murray Productions. Did I get that backwards? No, I got that right. The show would also have a catchy theme song composed by Andy Paley with the lyrics provided by Joe Murray himself. The song was set to a parody of the song Bingo. You know, the B-I-N-G-O song. Before we get into the fun and shenanigans the show provided, let's take a look at the wacky cast of characters. Obviously, we will begin with our main character, Lazlo, the Brazilian spider monkey. Voiced by the legendary Rocko actor, Carlos Alazraqui. I am so sorry if I butchered your name. I'm a huge fan of your work. I apologize. I hope I got it right, though. Originally comes from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Lazlo is orange, wears his scout uniform, has a long tail, and a huge smile. Fun fact, his smile's shaped like a banana. He is part of the Jelly Cabin trio with Raj and Clam. Lazlo's always positive and loves peace. He is kind of a hippie, but he is the cabin leader. As he states, he goes where the wind blows him. Lazlo has been described as spreading mischief and wacky shenanigans and using his imagination and creativity to solve problems. He always finds himself consistently at odds with Scoutmaster Lumpus. Next up is Rajesh Raj, voiced by Jeff Bennett and born in India. Raj is an Indian elephant. The character himself is Peach, wears his scout uniform and combination beanie and fez hat with a spinning propeller. He's timid, cautious, nervous, cowardly, has OCD, is allergic to bacon, and has a distinct Indian accent. I know, It was a product of its time.
Actually, the reason that Raj has the accent is because Joe Murray was told that he could have one character with a heavy accent, and he was originally going to have Lazlo have an accent as well. But out of the two of them, he picked Raj to have the accent instead of Lazlo.
That's awesome. As 1/3 of the Jelly Cabin trio, Raj often goes along on adventures with Lazlo and Clam. However, he only goes because he doesn't want them to leave him behind, and he does love to have fun. Raj is very sensitive and often ends up crying when he makes mistakes, is sad, or even scared. The propeller on his hat will spin when he's upset. Next up is Clam, voiced by Carlos Alazraqui. Clam is a small albino white rhinoceros. He's white, wears his scout uniform and hat. As the final part of the Jelly Cabin trio, Clam often goes along on adventures with Lazlo and Raj. Clam himself rarely speaks, but is shown to be a genius and extremely talented artist. The prizes in the box of cereal and brings some of his treasures to camp with him. Edward Platypus, voiced by Doug Lawrence, is a duck-billed platypus that comes from New York. He's white and wears a scout uniform along with a hat as well. Edward stays in the Pinto cabin with Chip and Skip. He's cynical, irritable, and loves to watch others suffer, especially when he's the cause. Edward hates Lazlo because he thinks he's too happy all the time, has no friends, and is able to have fun when he can't. While Edward does try to follow the rules, he will also bend them to go against Scoutmaster Lumpus and Slinkman. He also goes out of his way to play mean pranks on the campers. I get that. Ask my coworkers. Not only that, he pretends to be a tough guy. However, we do see his softer side when it's revealed that he has a Veronica doll that he loves. Next up is Samson Clogmire, voiced by Jeff Bennett. He's an overweight guinea pig with large glasses that comes from underwater. Yeah, you heard me. I said underwater. What, guinea pigs don't come from underwater? I'm about to prove you wrong. This is because even though he's a guinea pig, his parents were shown to be jellyfish. While he never comes out and says it, it is implied that he was adopted. He wears the standard scout uniform and has gray fur. He's a very accident-prone, nerdy, neat freak, germophobic, hypochondriac, and stays in Fava Cabin with Dave and Ping Pong. Samson is known as the Camp Wimp, and although he hangs out with Edward, he doesn't have any other friends and is often ignored. I wouldn't really say Edward's his friend either. Samson is also in charge of the mail at Camp Kidney and Acorn Flats. Next up is Chip and Skip. Both voiced by Steve Little, they're identical twin dung beetles. They both wear the normal scout uniform, although only Skip wears a sash with several visible badges. They're both a blue-violet color and stand about 6 foot 1 inches tall. Those are some big dung beetles. Wait, I wouldn't think about that too much. The twins are dim-witted, they love dirt, and cause, they're dung beetles after all, they always have a big cloud of fruit flies that follow them everywhere. This is good, as if they get clean, they'll fall asleep for 100 years. You can't make this stuff up. I love it. Thank you, Joe Murray. Chip and Skip live in Pinto Cabin with Edward and are usually the ones that help Edward with his pranks and schemes. With the Camp Kidney campers covered, let's talk about the camp's management. We'll start with Scoutmaster Lumpus, voiced by returning favorite Tom Kenny. His full name is Algonquin C. Lumpus, and he has been the Scoutmaster for 5 years. He's a western moose with brown fur, antlers, and a Scoutmaster uniform. He belongs to a secret club called the Legume Council and wants to become the Grand Legume. Lumpus is almost always angry, has a huge ego, is bossy, lazy, cynical, hates his job, and loves to put an end to campers' fun. He absolutely hates the Jelly Bean Cabin and has no social skills. It is shown that Lumpus and his assistant friend Slinkman went to Camp Kidney as kids. Although during that time, Lumpus went out of his way to make Slinkman upset too. However, in a weird twist, in the finale it is shown he's not actually the real Scoutmaster, but a lunatic that kidnaps the real Scoutmaster. Vet your summer camps. Camp Crystal Lake, I hear, is open. Next up, Mr. Slinkman, voiced also by Tom Kenny. He's a light yellow banana slug in a scout uniform. He's the assistant to Lumpus and is the one that keeps the camp running. In opposition to Lumpus, Slinkman loves the campers and knows the Bean Scout manual inside and out. At the beginning of the series, Slinkman doesn't really go against Lumpus, but as time goes by, he starts to stand up to him more and more. This is especially helpful since Lumpus gets more and more unstable as the series goes on. Trust me. But this brings us to the next character. Heifer Wolf. That's right. Heifer Wolf. The Heifer Wolf. Heifer Wolf is also voiced by Tom Kenny. And he's, well, Heifer from Rockos' Modern Life, only older and shaved. We'll get a little bit more into this character later in this video. We'll round out the Camp Kidney characters with Commander Hoo-Ha Smiles. Voiced by Jeff Bennett, he's an American bison and commandant of the Scouts of Prickly Pines. He's also in charge of Acorn Flats and Tomato Camp. Hoo-Ha wears a green military uniform with several medals and patches. He's very aggressive, strict, angry, and has an extremely loud voice. Commander Hoo-Ha is also the father of Patsy Smiles and is very protective over his little girl. Tomato Camp is the most elite level of Bean Scout, and he runs it like a boot camp. He is the only character that Lumpus actually listens to and shows fear of. There are a few other characters at Camp Kidney we do have to mention before we move on, such as Chef McMuesli, voiced by Carlos Alazraqui, as the goat chef. Next up is Nurse Leslie, voiced by Doug Lawrence. Nurse Leslie is a pink male shark that acts as the nurse of the camp. And finally, we have Dave and Ping Pong, also voiced by Doug Lawrence. They are a pair of twin common loon campers. Now let's check out Acorn Flats. What's a camp without a rival, and Camp Kidney has Acorn Flats, the girls' camp across Leaky Lake. The Acorn Flats campers are the Squirrel Scouts, and while Camp Kidney is very run down, Acorn Flats has better facilities and camp staff. However, they do have to share some of the available resources with the boys' camp. The campers from Acorn Flats will often have adventures with the boys from Camp Kidney as well as other rivalries. So now, let's check out the campers from Acorn Flats. The Squirrel Scouts. First up is Patsy Smiles, voiced by Jody Benson. She's a yellow mongoose. She has pink hair, is daughter of Commander Hoo-Ha, a cabin leader, and wears an Acorn Flats Scout uniform. While Patsy is focused, adventurous, and strong-willed, she does also have a softer side as well, like her crush on Lazlo. Next up is Nina Neckerly, voiced by Jill Talley. Nina is a nerdy Maasai giraffe with orange hair. Nina wears the Acorn Flats Scout uniform and is best friends with Patsy and Gretchen. She's very smart and is often seen reading books and comics. Moving on to Gretchen Lawrence, another one of my favorite characters from this show. Gretchen is also voiced by Jill Talley and is an alligator with long blonde hair. She wears the Acorn Flats uniform and is the cynical tomboy of the group. Gretchen is cynical, assertive, and direct, and does not like the Bean Scouts. She's best friends with Patsy and Nina. They kinda do the opposite side of the coin of the Jelly Scouts. They're, in a way, kinda paired up. Now, the girls at Acorn Flats need a Scoutmaster too, and they have Miss Jane Doe, voiced by Jody Benson. Jane is a red deer with blonde hair. She wears the Acorn Flats Scoutmaster uniform and is very scatterbrained, but super nice and happy most of the time. Miss Doe is also the love interest of none other than Lumpus. And finally, Miss Mucus, also voiced by Jill Talley. She's a common warthog and the assistant to Miss Doe. With her being a soldier for 15 years, she has a gruff, strict personality and also hates the Bean Scouts. She is also always trying to thwart Lumpus and Miss Doe's romance attempts and tries to make the girls hate the Bean Scouts just as much as she does. Macabre'Gorium Labs will return after this commercial break. Hey kids, it's June and school is finally over for the year. But what now? 3 months of chores? 3 months of pure boredom? 3 months of being trapped in a car while going on family trips you don't want to be on? Well, if you're too young to have gone to Camp on Awana, then come on down to Camp Kidney Boys Summer Camp, where the food is bad but the campers are rad. Meet your fellow campers and enjoy the fun, adventure, activities, and hijinks. But the fun doesn't stop there, because conveniently located right across the lake is Acorn Flats, a rival summer camp for girls. But don't be fooled, these Acorn Flats girls are tough. Do you have what it takes to help Camp Kidney triumph in the camp games? Or will you add your girl power to Acorn Flats and help defeat the boys at Camp Kidney? So come on down and sign up for the camp of your choice. We'll see you soon. Macabre'Gorium Labs is not affiliated with Camp Kidney or Acorn Flats. We cannot guarantee the safety of human children, as these camps are for animated characters. While Macabre'Gorium Labs has diligently been working on technology to turn humans into cartoons, it has not been perfected. The risks of leaving your children in the woods with a bunch of animated animals rest solely on the parents. For more information, check out Camp Lazlo where available. And now back to Macabre'Gorium Labs. Now that we have discussed the main characters of the story, let's hike into Camp Kidney for more fun. With so many episodes of the show, we definitely can't cover them all here, but we will talk about a few of our select favorites. We'll begin with Season 1, Episode 11B, Beans and Weenies. I love this one. In this episode, we see that the camp cook makes terrible hot dogs. So, Lumpus makes Lazlo, Raj, and Clam help make the next batch of hot dogs. It doesn't go so well as the cook leaves and the boys decide to make their own hot dogs, which turn out to be a big hit with the other campers. Burned out from making hot dogs every Monday, Raj and Clam end up in a fight about whose contribution to the weenies is best. This leads to them not making dogs anymore, which angers the other campers. Despite Lazlo's objection, Raj makes hot dogs, but they are only his buns, and Clam has only mustard. This, of course, doesn't work for the campers, but the boys decide to make hot dogs for themselves as friends. After the other campers smell the hot dogs again, they want them too. In the end, Raj decides to point out what hot dogs are actually made out of. This makes the other campers not want any more hot dogs, and the boys decide pizza is better than hot dogs. They're great if you don't think about it. Well, pizza's pretty good too. Suppose I wouldn't overthink that either, though. Next up, Season 1, Episode 22A, Beans and Pranks. We begin by seeing Lumpus talking to Slinkman about June 9th being the day he gets pranked every year. He thinks that Lazlo and the Jelly Beans are the culprits, so he sends Slinkman in, disguised as a camper, to get information. As he's being undercover Slinkman, he suggests that the campers play a prank on Lumpus. But Lazlo just asks what a prank is, so Slinkman shows him a hand buzzer and a whoopee cushion. Two Macabre'Gorium Labs favorites. Check them out. Lazlo, Clam, and Raj think they're doing pranks by cleaning the kitchen and changing the sign to the Arc de Triomphe. Later, the boys are going to prank the Big Moose, but their prank turns out to be them cleaning and grooming the Big Moose head in the mess hall, not Lumpus. In the end, the campers think Lumpus pranked them, though, and they're happy. At the end of the episode, we see Slinkman writing in his journal that it is in fact him that pranks Lumpus every year, and this due to Lumpus never remembering that that day is Slinkman's birthday. The episode ends with Lumpus coming into Slinkman's room and delivering a present. This is, of course, after mentioning Slinkman's journal is hard to read and he should improve his handwriting. Right as we screen out, Slinkman opens the present to reveal a boxing glove on a spring that, of course, bops him right in the mouth. Season 2, Episode 5A, Hello Dolly. In this one, Edward has a dolly that he loves named Veronica. Told you we'd get back to that, did I? While playing with Veronica, Chip and Skip walk into the Pinto cabin, so Edward drops the doll out the window. Lazlo, Raj, and Clam find Veronica and think she's an action figure and begin to play with her. Edward is, of course, heartbroken, but doesn't want the others to know she's his. Although he asks for a turn to play with the action figure, Lazlo tells him he has to wait his turn. When it actually becomes Edward's turn, he hugs her and calls her Veronica. Lazlo questions if it's his, but he won't admit it. Edward boasts that he's actually willing to blow up the doll just to prove that she isn't his. Even though Lazlo had told him that it was cool if she was, he just wanted to know. Edward goes to blow up the doll, but he switches it out for a pickle with a marshmallow head. However, it doesn't fool the other campers. Lazlo goes to get the real doll and sees all of Edward's Veronica accessories and furniture and realizes how much Edward loves her. Lazlo in the end helps Edward fool the others and they blow up the pickle Veronica and real Veronica is saved. And lastly, Season 5, Episode 9B, Lumpus's Last Stand. This is the final episode of the series, and trust me, this gets crazy. This episode starts out by letting us see that Lumpus really hates doing the camp laundry, so instead he decides to paint on clothing. This is a hit with everyone in Prickly Pines, and they think Lumpus is a genius. Around this point, there are two time-traveling moose that appear with the Lumpus statue, as in their time, they haven't had to do laundry for over 1,000 years. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense given what happens next. I told you this was crazy. Unfortunately, it rains, and everyone is now naked when the paint washes off. This leads the town to realize Lumpus is not a genius. The statue dissolves, the moose from the future lose their antlers, and they head back to their future time. We then have someone driving up, and it's none other than the real Scoutmaster of Camp Kidney, Heifer Wolf. That's right. Heifer Wolf, the crossover you never expected. This, of course, is Heifer Wolf directly from Rockos' Modern Life, which was a cool addition to this show. It also further shows the connection between the two shows. Apparently, he had been locked in a closet for the season by Lumpus. Lumpus is ultimately arrested and taken to a psychiatric hospital for help. As usual, none of this bothers Lazlo as he thinks the summer was great. The last episode was a good ending to the series, but the show is dearly missed. With this show being so popular, it would get a video game made. On November 6, 2006, Camp Lazlo Leaky Lake Games will be released for the Game Boy Advance. You can find copies of it on sites like eBay, Macari, and whatnot for around $10 US, depending on condition. As far as merchandise goes, there's so much you can get. Shirts, figures, stickers, mugs, water bottles, plush figures, notebooks, and several McDonald's Happy Meal toys, and that's just to name a very, very few. Most of which can be found on the usual sites, eBay, Macari, Etsy, and then they range from price a little at $1.50 all the way up to $200 depending on what the item is. There's also a DVD and Blu-ray of the complete series that you can find for around $50 on Macari and Etsy. Although I'm not sure of its legitimacy, buyer beware. Ultimately, this show ended because Joe Murray felt that it was time to conclude the adventures of the Bean Scouts. With the 5 seasons and 61 episodes, it just seemed like the show had run its course. Here in 2026, there are still a ton of fans of this show, with adult fans sharing the adventures with their kids too. So if you haven't seen this show, check it out for yourself. It's pretty frickin' rad. I've been a huge fan of Cartoon Network since you had to order it as a special channel on satellite only when you were in an area that could receive it. But Camp Lazlo is one of the coolest things to come out of the network ever. And you know what? Another show by Joe Murray, that was freaking awesome. I personally can't wait till we cover Rockos' Modern Life. I just want to make sure that we do it its justice, as I'm a huge fan of Joe Murray, and he's been a personal inspiration of mine since I was a kid. Anyway, with that, you know what I think. Now just gotta ask, did you ever watch Camp Lazlo? If so, what's your favorite episode or character? And if not, what's your favorite childhood snack, toy, show, movie, or other memory? Did we forget anything, get something wrong, or leave something out? Maybe you have a suggestion for a future video or just want to drop in and say hi. Either way, feel free to head on down to our comment section because most of the time, we look forward to hearing from you. And with that, unfortunately, we've come to the end of another Macabre'Gorium Labs showcase of things likely forgotten, Cartoon Network edition. I've been your host, Bats, and I hope you had a good time today as we took a look at one of our favorites here at the Labs with Camp Lazlo. All beans, no hot air. Be sure to check back next time because you never know what we have in store. And as usual, think for yourselves, be excellent to each other, and keep it creepy. You son of a... I told you I was going to take my show back. Let me out of here. Meanie. I'm going to take over your gosh darn show. Oh, you're going to pay. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of this one. I can't wait till we cover Rockos Modern Live. Big shout out to our patrons, Goat, Corey Backus, Woodstock, Boss Mike, Joshua R., Bill, Matt H., and Viking Woman. You guys are freaking rad. We'll see you in the next one, and check out one of these videos here for another awesome video by us. Keep it creepy.